Welcome, tennis obsessives, to another episode of The Changeover, your favorite home for the beautiful, chaotic, and sometimes utterly baffling world of professional tennis. Today's episode is proudly powered by SecondServeAces.com, your absolute gold standard for deep, tactical tennis analysis. We have a massive show for you today. We are unpacking the absolute bombshell news of Nick Kyrgios' provisional suspension after a positive test in Mallorca. Plus, Sinner and Sabalenka are flexing their collective muscle, forcing the Grand Slams to establish a brand new player council as the US Open prize pool balloons past a staggering $100 million. And of course, we have to talk about Tommy Paul's absolute masterclass in grit, taking down Alexander Zverev in a Cincinnati thriller. Joining me to dissect all of this are my brilliant co-hosts, Leo Sterling and Julian Price. Gentlemen, the tennis world is spinning on its axis today.
It's spinning fast, Arthur. And honestly, some players are spinning right off the carousel. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Quite. A tempestuous start to the hard-court swing, to say the very least. Good day to you both.
Let's begin with the headline that stopped everyone in their tracks. Nick Kyrgios, suspended provisionally by the ITIA after testing positive for cocaine during the tournament in Mallorca. It feels like, well, yet another chapter in a career that is constantly teetering on the edge of a literary tragedy.
It's a self-inflicted wound, Arthur. Plain and simple. You look at the talent. You look at the raw physical capability. But the mentality? The discipline? It's a check his body and his lifestyle couldn't cash. Mallorca was supposed to be a stepping stone, and now it's a cliff.
Indeed. And if I may inject a bit of context here, I was actually chatting with some of the tournament staff in the lounge yesterday, and the atmosphere surrounding his camp has been, let's call it, highly volatile for months. This isn't just an isolated slip-up. It feels like the culmination of a very long, very public unraveling.
Wait, Julian, you're saying the writing was on the wall?
Visibly so, Arthur. One doesn't simply stumble into an ITIA provisional suspension. The testing protocols are rigorous. His statement pleaded ignorance, of course, but the career implications here are devastating. At 30, a long ban is essentially a forced retirement.
Exactly. You can't just take 2 years off at this level and expect to walk back onto center court. The game is too fast now. The youngsters are too fit. If this suspension sticks, the Kyrgios show might be officially canceled.
It's the existential tragedy of the modern athlete, isn't it? The constant struggle between the freedom of the individual and the rigid, almost clinical demands of the anti-doping machine. He wanted to play by his own rules, but the machine always wins.
Come on, Arthur. Don't wax poetic about a positive test. It's about professional standards. If you want the millions, you follow the protocol.
Speaking of millions, Leo, that brings us quite neatly to our next major story. Sinner and Sabalenka have essentially forced the Grand Slam's hands.
Oh, this is fascinating. The establishment of a slam-specific player council to resolve the prize money dispute, especially with the US Open boasting a prize pool of over $100 million.
It's about time. The players are the product, period. Sinner and Sabalenka are the perfect duo to lead this. They have the leverage right now. They're winning the biggest trophies, and they are drawing the eyeballs.
It is historically unprecedented, really. Usually the Grand Slams dictate terms, and the players simply bow. But by presenting a united front across both the men's and women's tours, Sinner and Sabalenka have exposed the cracks in the old administrative structure.
It makes you wonder, where does all that revenue actually go? We see these astronomical ticket prices, the massive broadcast deals, yet the players outside the top 50 are still struggling to cover their coaching travel expenses. It's a highly unequal ecosystem.
That's why we need this council. But they have to be careful. If they push too hard, do the slams start cutting back on player amenities? It's a delicate negotiation.
Well, According to the documents, the primary focus is on the distribution percentage of gross revenue. Currently, the slams pay out a much lower percentage to players compared to major American team sports like the NBA or NFL. Sinner is using his academic, analytical mind to point this out, and the slams are finally sweating.
If you want a really deep dive into the actual numbers and the financial models behind this dispute, you absolutely have to check out secondserveaces.com. They have an incredible AI-driven breakdown of the revenue-sharing models that really shows the tactical depth of what Sinner and Sabalenka are fighting for. It's not just about greed, it's about structural reform.
Yeah, the data on secondserveaces.com is eye-opening. It shows exactly how top-heavy the current system is. But let's talk about some actual tennis on the court. Tommy Paul, what a battle against Zverev in Cincinnati.
Oh, it was magnificent. A 4-6, 7-6, 6-4 comeback. In that second set tiebreak, when Zverev was serving for the match, Paul played with this incredible, almost reckless freedom. He was redirecting Zverev's heavy ground strokes with such delicate precision.
Let's give Tommy credit, but we have to talk about Zverev's depth, or rather, his lack of it in the crucial moments. Arthur, you praised Paul's redirection, but the only reason he could do that was because Zverev started landing his forehand short. He got passive.
I must agree with Leo here.
It was a classic case of tactical regression from Zverev. When the pressure mounted in the tiebreak, his court positioning slipped back 3 feet behind the baseline. He practically invited Tommy to dictate the points.
But Tommy still had to execute. That forehand pass he hit at 6-all in the tiebreak was a work of art. The ball seemed to defy gravity.
It was a great shot, yes, but physically, Tommy looked like the fresher man in the third set. His fitness levels have skyrocketed. He was recovering from deep corners in a way Zverev just couldn't match as the humidity rose.
It was indeed a gritty performance. Though, I do wonder if Zverev's recent heavy schedule is starting to take its toll. His movement in the final 3 games looked remarkably sluggish, almost heavy-legged.
It's the Cincinnati heat, Julian. It breaks even the strongest minds. But this win puts Tommy in a fantastic position heading into New York. The confidence he'll draw from this is immense.
Spurs of that revenue split, you really must read our full breakdown on secondserveaces.com. But let us pivot to the concrete reality of the courts in Ohio. The Cincinnati Masters has given us some extraordinary tactical drama.
Yes, the heavy air of Ohio. It was Flavio Cobolli who caught my eye, a match that felt like a slow-motion chess match under a bruising sun. He lost the first set to young Rafael Jodar, who is only 19, mind you.
Jodar's flat backhand was absolutely laser-focused early on. He was hitting through the court, taking time away from Cobolli. It was a physical beatdown in that opening set.
It was, but then Cobolli did something quite beautiful. He began to loop his ball. He increased the RPMs, sending these high, heavy topspin arcs that jumped off the court, forcing Jodar to strike the ball up near his shoulders.
A classic tactical adjustment. By changing the launch angle and the height of the bounce, Cobolli completely neutralized Jodar's flat, linear strikes. It is the sort of clay court intelligence translated to the hard courts.
Exactly, Julian. You could see Jodar's leg starting to go in the third. Cobolli just ground him down, taking it 4-6, 7-6, 6-3. That is pure physical resilience. That is a check his body could cash.
Yes, unlike some others we have seen lately. Speaking of which, my sources in the player lounge in Cincinnati told me that the locker room tension this week has been absolutely palpable, especially around Daniil Medvedev.
Ah, Daniil, a man constantly fighting his own shadow on the court. He fell to Brandon Nakashima. It was existential. Nakashima saved 3 match points.
Nakashima is tough as nails, Arthur. He didn't blink. Medvedev was getting more and more frustrated, complaining about the speed of the court, the balls, probably the wind too. But Nakashima just stayed in the trenches.
It is worth noting
That while Medvedev was unraveling, Aryna Sabalenka was doing the exact opposite. She cruised through her match in just 54 minutes. Absolute, clinical efficiency.
54 minutes. Barely enough time for the crowd to settle into their seats. A brief, violent storm of tennis.
That's how you save your body for the second week of a slam. Unlike Medvedev, who now has to go back to the drawing board before New York.
Indeed. Well, if you want the complete statistical breakdown of Nakashima's return strategy or Koboli's spin rates, you know where to go.
Yes, make sure to visit secondserveaces.com for all our deep dive articles, tactical heat maps, and live tournament coverage.
Get over there, read the pieces, and leave us a comment. We'll see you next week on The Changeover.